Tell us a little bit more about these recent trends in enrollment because this is very unusual for Surrey. What are we actually seeing classrooms then becoming less crowded?
Well, yeah, you're right about that. It's very, very unusual. In fact, probably the first time I've seen it in over 20 years that we've had declining enrollment. The problem is that the kids all don't come out of one school, right? They're across the entire district, right? So when you've got 120 schools, the impact can be very, very negative, right? And in other cases, it's not noticeable at all. So now how do you balance your classroom sizes and composition based on, 870 children less? So it's very, very difficult balancing act we have to maintain the collective agreement language with the BCTF around class size, class composition, and yet able to balance your budget as well. So it's a difficult situation the board's been put into, but hopefully we're going to able to navigate through it at the end of the day without any layoffs.
And just elaborate on the factors behind the pace of enrollment slowing down then. I mentioned a couple of things, but how have you come to know all of this?
Well, because we do our predictions through the city, we do our predictions through the province, and the expectation is that we're going to be in declining enrollment to the tune of over 800 students a year for the next 3 years. And it's really quite concerning. As you've already said, we're funded on a per pupil basis. And so if that trend continues, then it becomes more and more difficult to balance your budget. End of the day, the province, you have to have a balanced budget. So it becomes another juggling act. You've gone from the fact that you've got so many children you don't know how to fund the school district.
Yeah.
Now you're trying to balance your budget on declining enrollment. So you've gone from one side to the other in almost a year, and it's really a very difficult situation to be put into.
How much sense does it make? I mean, so you're 900 fewer students across a district with how many students overall in your district?
Well, last year we had 82,000, so we have an expectation it's going to be probably down to somewhere in the region of 79,000 students,
All right.
which is huge.
Yeah, that's a big drop, but can you really I don't understand where you're supposed to realize $17 million in savings here.
Well, the truth of the matter is, and the board took it on the chin last year, and certainly most of the media outlets were completely aware that we made some drastic decisions in the last 2 years around busing, around special needs,
Yes.
around all of those things. And so we're probably in the better financial shape than we've been for many, many years because of those, very, very tough decisions the board made over the last 2 years.
So, what are the challenges then? I mean, when you are now in an era where you are planning for, I suppose, fluctuating levels of student enrollment.
Well, we can only go off our estimates for one thing, and you're right about that. I mean, these are all guesstimates, right? I mean, it wasn't very long ago that we were predicting we'd have 2,500 new students. And suddenly now we're down to the fact that we're looking at a minimum of 800 less students. So you just work your way through it very slowly. And, the most important part is, though, that we keep the parents and the members of the public aware of where we're at in all of this, right? And we just simply work from there until we get to the point, as I said to you, that we're putting in a balanced budget.
Last fall, the board presented City Council with its student population projections, and it was projecting then that development of new residential units would lead to an increase of 11,000 new students over the next decade. And it said at the time that the district was going to need 22 new schools. Does the board stand by those projections?
Well, I mean, as you've said, I mean, I've given you what our estimates are for the next 3 years. The truth of the matter is, in the next 2 years, it can change considerably. I mean, that's part of the problem with this guessing game, right? It's all done on predictions, right? And so we use the city's predictions on what development they're going to propose, and we base our numbers based on those numbers from the city. City's in the same thing. The city of Surrey is not attracting the same amount of citizens that it did 2-3 years ago. So we're both in the same boat. We're both guesstimating where this is all going to end.
You did, though. Surrey Schools did post a $33 million surplus at the beginning of this school year. And so you've got declining enrollment now. Does that open up more financial capacity to bring back some of those program cuts that you had to make?
The program cuts won't be coming back. I mean, the $33 million surplus is totally in line with the province's best business scenario of between 1% and 3% surplus, right? And those funds are actually sat there for rainy day issues. If we have major catastrophe in the school district, that's what we draw on. And when you think about the size of the budget, $1.1 billion, that's very little emergency funding that's available to the board if necessary.
But one of the measures you undertook because of overcrowding was you began this hybrid learning program that was available for students in grades 10 to 12, where they would do part of their learning in the classroom and part at home. Would you consider then scaling that back since the classrooms may now be less crowded?
I mean, everything's on the table, but the truth of the matter is the online learning, it depends on the outcomes, right? I mean, there's more demand for online learning nowadays everywhere than there was before. So, I mean, based on its merits, we have to look at it on its merits. If that's what students and what works for students and the outcomes are significant, then probably not. But I mean, it's there. That's an option for us. But we put these programs into place, to save space, absolutely. But also, we put them into place, for student outcomes. And if the student outcomes are there, I can't see the online learning disappearing anytime soon.
All right. Terry, thank you so much for your time this morning. We appreciate it.
And thank you for taking the interest. I appreciate it very much.
All right.
Have a good day.
You too.
Thank
Take
you.
care. That's Terry.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Terry Allen, Surrey School Board Vice Chair of Education.